All right. Well, as we mentioned earlier, LaGuardia Airport was impacted by this. Our Amy Yency joins me now from LaGuardia, where the power is back on, but the delays are certainly expected tonight. Amy.
That's right. Power is back on here at LaGuardia. They're using a backup generator, and all the lights are on in the terminals from what we can see. Now, a lot of flights are departing because partial service has been restored, but many flights are not. So if you have a flight, you have to check ahead with your carrier before coming to the airport. We were able to talk to some people arriving to LaGuardia from a flight in Florida, and they said they saw the blue lights from the plane. They were told on the plane that maybe they could not come to LaGuardia and that their flight would be diverted to JFK. Eventually, their plane circled around for minutes and minutes before eventually landing here. A big delay for them. When they got here, they were not being given that much information. And one passenger told me that they were frustrated because they were not being allowed to leave and that cars could not get to the terminal to pick them up. So take a listen to what the passengers had to say.
I saw there was a big explosion. The entire sky was blue. I was coming down on the actual, in the plane. We sat on the tarmac for like 15, 20 minutes because the entire airport was in blackout.
A heavy police presence here at LaGuardia Airport as they try to get back to normal after losing power due to this explosion nearby. But service is partially restored at LaGuardia, not completely. So check ahead before coming to the airport if you do have a flight. Back to you.
All right, Amy, that passenger you spoke with, did she talk about how nervous she really was? I know she's touched on it a little bit, but I mean, I cannot imagine having to land on a plane while this is all happening.
Well, if you've ever flown, you know it's tense to be on a plane as it is. I asked her about that, and she said there was no sound. They heard no sound, obviously, because they were so high up in the air, but they did see the blue lights, and everyone started asking each other, did you see that? What did you think that was? And they started asking the flight crew. The flight crew really didn't have any information either. And then, to add to that, they were circling around in the air extra time than they should have because they just could not land the plane without any power here at LaGuardia. So some tense moments, scary moments up in the air for those passengers.
All right, Amy, things slowly getting back to normal at LaGuardia Airport after some really tense moments. Let's go. Thank you so much, Jesse. I hope you have a safe trip home and that you make it back to New York City soon. Let's go now to our Amy Yency. She joins me again from LaGuardia Airport, where the power is back on, but the delays are still plenty there. Amy.
That's right. Power is back at all terminals here at LaGuardia Airport, but you should still call your airline to find out about any delays. And also another update, shuttles are now being allowed to go close to the terminals to pick up and drop off passengers. That service had been suspended, as well as air traffic suspended following the explosion. There was also a tweet sent out in the last couple minutes by Con Edison. I'll read it. Quote, there was a brief electrical fire at our substation on 20th Avenue and 32nd Street in Astoria this evening, which caused a transmission dip in the area. All power lines serving the area are in service and the system is stable. But we spoke to passengers arriving to LaGuardia from a flight in Florida, and they were up in the sky when the blue lights were happening, and they were very confused and frightened. And they said they were asking what was going on. They were told that they could not land in LaGuardia for the time being, and they circled around for minutes and minutes. We also heard from another passenger that their flight was just grounded as they tried to get more information that at the time was not available. Some very chaotic moments being described to us by passengers. Take a listen.
They're not letting any of the traffic go in, but at the same time, they're not telling us what to do. There's no one there instructing us.
Okay, Amy, we're going to dip out from you for a second now and go straight to the NYPD. They are briefing us on what happened earlier tonight.
Pretty much routine.
All right, Miles, LaGuardia Airport finally got up and running again, but of course there are delays there, and that's where our Amy Yency is. She has been talking with passengers tonight and trying to sort this all out. We heard from one passenger, Amy, who was diverted to Baltimore. He's now trying to figure out when he will be back in New York. But what are you hearing from some of the other people there at LaGuardia?
Just similar stories of fear, frustration, confusion. And I was listening to your conversation about whether we've been downplaying this or not. Well, the passengers that I've been talking to say you were not downplaying it because they were afraid. Many of them were up in the air when the blue lights started flickering, and it's already scary for many people to fly. To see something like that happen while you're up in the air, we could only imagine what they must have been going through. And I was asking them, what were you thinking? And they said, we didn't know. We thought it was an explosion. One woman told me she thought the plane was on fire. So she started asking what's going on. And she was told that the plane could not land here at LaGuardia because of some problem, but they didn't say what the problem was. So they were up in the air longer than they should have. Another passenger said her plane was grounded and could not depart because of the ongoing investigation in relation to this this fire and explosion, as we've been saying. And then the shuttle service, which has now been restored, at that point when it first happened was suspended. So people were stranded in the airport, not knowing what was going on and unable to get home.